Sally that girl in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally that girl in the kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to be teaching you how to make Frituras de Prasa, fried leek patties. You may have never heard of them because they are a Sephardic-Turkish delicacy. They are absolutely incredible. I am so excited to teach you how to make them. You are going to love them. So let's not wait another second. Let's get started. For today's recipe, you will need 6 tablespoons of vegetable oil plus 5 more cups separate, 3 large onions, 6 large leeks, 1.5 pounds of ground beef, 2 large Idaho potatoes, 2 tablespoons of consomme powder, 4 large eggs, 1 packet of onion soup mix, 3 cups of matzah meal, 1 tablespoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and a box of chicken broth. You will also need a food processor, a large bowl, a large tray, a cutting board with a knife, a bowl and a fork, a large pot with a lid, a colander, measuring cups, some measuring spoons, a large skillet, a potato peeler, and either a skimmer or a spider. You will also need plenty of paper towel and a large plate. So now that we've gotten all of our ingredients and our tools together, let's get started. So the first thing you need to do is cut and wash your leeks. So grab a leek and then we're going to cut the end off. Then turn your leek around and then cut off most of the dark green portion. I like to leave about an inch or so of the green, and then I take off the rest because that portion is much more rough. And then we really need to get in there and clean our leeks. Sand and dirt tend to get in our leeks, and it is very important that we clean them thoroughly. So we will be cutting our leeks and we will be placing them in a bowl filled with cool water. This way the leeks can float and then the sand and dirt will fall to the bottom of the bowl to make it easier for us to clean our leeks and to separate the dirt. Now, in this example, I'm showing you what happens when you cut your leeks in rounds. So although the leeks are floating on the top as we want and the dirt is settling on the bottom, the fact that we've cut them in rounds makes it more difficult because then we have to go in and we have to separate these rounds one by one because there is dirt accumulated between the layers. And so we would have to go in and by hand separate these rounds, which is a little time consuming. I find it more effective to cut the top and bottom off and then split the leek down the center and then chop it. And that way, when we place it in the water, we don't have to separate the rounds one by one. They kind of come apart much easier and it becomes a little less difficult to clean. So I find that 3 leeks fit comfortably in my bowl at a time. So then once I have 3 of them in the bowl, I take them over to my sink and I run cool water over them and I continue to thoroughly clean them. And then I spill out all the water and the dirt from the bottom of the bowl. And then I repeat that process 3 or 4 times until I'm confident that I've removed all of the dirt from my leeks. So once you are sure that your first 3 leeks are clean, then you can add them to your large pot. And then we are going to repeat the same process with the other 3 leeks. We are going to chop them and we are going to put them in water, clean them really, really well, run them underwater, make sure they're thoroughly cleaned, clean them 3-4 times, as many times as you need to until they're fully clean, and then add them also to the large pot. So now grab your 2 Idaho potatoes, wash them really thoroughly, and then peel them and chop them up into large chunks, and then grab them and add them to the same pot where you have your leeks. Then you are going to fill your pot with water. Trust me, a lot of water will fit even though your pot is really full. Fill it until about an inch or so from the top so that when your leeks and your potatoes start to boil, your water does not overflow. So then use your hands to rearrange the potatoes so that they're not left on the top. Just kind of push them in and cover them with some leeks so that you're sure that the potatoes are submerged in the water. So now turn your stove on to medium heat and very carefully bring your heavy pot over and place it on your stove to begin cooking. Set a 30-minute timer, which is just about how long it should take for your water to start to boil. So now that our leeks and potatoes are starting to cook, let's start working on our onions. Grab your onions and peel them. Then cut them into large chunks. Then, a few chunks at a time, put them in your food processor to start processing them. You want to process them pretty fine. Depending on the size of your food processor, repeat the process as many times as necessary until you've processed all of your onions. As you work, add your processed onions to your large skillet until you've added them all. So if at this point your timer has gone off or you've noticed that your water started boiling, then go ahead and place your lid on your pot, but just leave a tiny rim open so that the steam can escape and so that you're sure that your water does not overboil. At this point, I like to reduce my temperature to about a medium simmer or low, depending on the type of stove that you have. Just keep it pretty low. Set another 30-minute timer to let your leek and potatoes finish cooking. So now, grab your skillet with your onions and bring it over to your stove and add 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil to it. Then, set your heat to medium and then grab a spoon or a spatula and start stirring your onions. The idea is to brown the onions to give them a nice, beautiful color to then add them to our mix. After about 10 minutes of cooking, you are going to notice that most of your oil has been absorbed. So at this point, you are going to grab your oil again, and you're going to add once again another 3 tablespoons of oil to your onions to continue the cooking process. It should take about another 10 minutes or so of cooking until you get your onions to a nice golden brown color. So now that your onions are nice and golden, turn off your stove and then set your onions aside. So once your second 30-minute timer has gone off, your leek and potato mixture is ready to be drained. Carefully carry it over to your sink and very carefully pour all of the mixture out into your colander. Be really careful as the steam is really hot. At this point, your potatoes should be really tender. They should easily break apart when pinched with a fork. Now, very carefully, grab the sides of your colander and give your mixture a really good shake to make sure that you get rid of as much water as you possibly can. Then, very carefully, as the mixture is still hot, pour the mixture back into the empty large pot. Now rinse out the bowl of your food processor, and with the help of a spoon, you are going to start scooping some of your potato and leek mixture and placing it into your food processor. Now start processing your mixture. What you are looking for is to create a sort of thick puree-like consistency. As you process your mixture, add it to your clean, large bowl and continue to repeat the process as many times as necessary until you have processed your entire leek and potato mixture. Once your entire mixture has been processed, grab your browned onions and then scoop them into that mixture. Then use your spoon to mix them together. Now grab your packet of onion soup mix and cut it open. Then add the entire packet into your mixture. Now add 2 tablespoons of your consommé powder. Now add your half a teaspoon of black pepper, your tablespoon of onion powder, and your teaspoon of garlic powder. Now grab your spoon and mix all of the ingredients together until they are well combined. Now add a tablespoon of salt, and then add your 1.5 pounds of ground beef, and 2 cups of your matzah meal. Now one by one, beat and add your 4 large eggs and use your spoon to start bringing the mixture together. Once the mixture starts to come together, switch to your hands and fully combine the ingredients, making sure that they are well distributed and well combined. Now grab your matzah meal and add 1 more cup, sprinkling it in and then combining it really well to make sure that it is incorporated well. Now let your mixture rest for about half an hour so that the matzah meal absorbs all the moisture and your mixture will be ready for frying. So now that your mixture has rested, it's time to start the frying process. First, pour 3 cups of vegetable oil into your large skillet. Now turn your stove onto medium heat and let your oil start to heat up. I know my oil is ready for frying when I put in just a drop of my mixture and it starts to bubble up. Now using your hands, grab some of your mixture and form a patty. Let me show you what that looks like again. Now one by one, shape your patties and gently add them to the hot oil. Remember not to overcrowd your pan. You definitely need to leave a little space in between your patties so that you can comfortably flip them over and so that they can cook evenly. Let the patties fry for about 2 or 3 minutes and then check to see if they are browning. If so, then flip them over and continue to cook them on the other side. Once your patties have gotten a nice golden brown color on both sides, very carefully using your skimmer or your spider, remove your patties from the oil and place them on a plate that you have lined with paper towel. The paper towel will help absorb any excess oil from your patties. Once you have filled your plate, grab another sheet of paper towel and place them on top of your leek patties. Then continue the shaping and frying process because you are going to create another layer of fried patties. Every time you fill that layer, place another sheet of paper towel on it and then continue to add your patties on top of that. In my case, after I had fried about 28 patties, my oil level was getting low. So at this point, I grabbed my bottle of vegetable oil and I added 2 more cups of vegetable oil to my skillet. Then I gave it a chance to warm up and then I continued frying my patties until they were all fried. I say in my case because of course that will vary depending on the size of your patties. I like my patties fairly large, so I got a total of 36 patties out of this recipe, but you could get a few more if you decide to make your patties just a bit smaller. So now your patties are ready and they are looking and smelling incredible. Of course, they are ready to be eaten just as is and they are absolutely delicious. But there is one more step that I like to do before serving my patties. I'm going to show you the process with just 5 patties, but you could do the process with all of the patties in one large tray. So place your patties in a large tray or a large Pyrex and then take some chicken broth and gently pour it over the patties before warming them in the oven. You're just going to gently pour a little bit over them and then put them in the oven to heat up. This process is called papear and it is done so that the patties stay moist and delicious when you go to warm them up. It's really worth the extra effort and the extra step as they will be absolutely delicious. As an alternative, you can do the same process in a skillet on the stove, but I find it much easier and simpler to do it this way using the oven. Look at how incredible those frituras de prasa look. They are so good. Everyone is going to love them. Plus, a fried leek patty, something different and something absolutely delicious. Very unexpected and very, very tasty. I had to grab a paper towel to touch one because they are still hot, but I could not wait to try one. They are so good, filled with that yummy leek potato, meat, and onion mixture. Absolutely delicious. So how incredible do these look? They are absolutely delicious. They're golden and yummy, and they're filled with that delicious mixture of leek with just a touch of ground beef and potato and onion. They are absolutely delicious. Trust me, you are going to love them. No, better yet, don't trust me. You're gonna have to try to make this recipe yourself. If you enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like, comment, and share. And of course, remember to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on a single amazing recipe that I have planned for you. See you next time. Sally that girl in the kitchen.